السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيد الأولين والآخرين وعلم السابقين وقائد الغر المحجلين والشفيع المذنبين وسيد ولد آدم أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله الغر الميامين وأصحابه نجوم الدين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وفقهنا إذا علمتنا. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters, I don't know how eligible I am to speak, about him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Anyone did see him, in this life, be considered for him as if this is the one beyond his limit, beyond his imagination, and the Jannah, besides that, it's beyond our limit, beyond our imagination, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did say, فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ. No one has the ability, to know what has been prepared for them, in the heaven, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the verse, has been much more explained, in the Hadith al-Qudsi, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أعددت لعبادي الصالحين ما لا عين رأت ولا أذن سمعت ولا خطر على قلب بشر. I have prepared for those righteous servant of mine something which is unseen by anyone, unheard by anyone, or understood, not understood by anyone, And this is by itself to tell us, in indirect way, that the hereafter is completely different than this life, on all aspect, in all pattern, And when we are that lucky, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us, all of us, lucky, to achieve the sitting with him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Besides what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared, this is going to be the most luxurious matter in this life. Even though sallallahu alayhi wasallam, physically, in his physical body, he had some superiority, over the others, When you come to the spiritual matter, it's going to be much more pronounced, in him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to the extent that the describer of him, what did he say? يقول نعيته لم أرى قبله ولا بعده مثله. That's mean the one who want to describe him, he is going to say, I haven't seen anyone before or after similar to him. This is my philosophy in this life, I don't know if I'm accurate or not. This is our general rule. We are not dictating on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most absolute one. Whatever you are busy in this life, you are going to be busy in the hereafter. And this is what have been summarized in this dream. You have a famous dream, by a person, I forgot his name. He was in the time, of the three high figures, in Islamic history. Namely, they are Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, Bishr al-Hafi, and Ma'ruf al-Karhi. What did happen to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned him to be at the gate, of the heaven, and he has the full authority from him subhanahu wa ta'ala to let anyone enter or let anyone out. Okay, then he entered the heaven, he found Bishr al-Hafi, another famous and great person, and he was sitting next to or against a table, and the talk came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the instruction, eat the one you haven't eaten in this life, and drink the one you haven't drank in this life. Then he moved forward, he found Sayyidina Ma'ruf al-Karhi as if he was occupied completely by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the comment come, that Ma'ruf al-Karhi is drunk of my love, is not going to wake up, without me. Okay, so do you find it in this life? Yes, I found it, in the many aspects. You have someone, in this life busy with eating. You have some people, they are busy with earning money or achieving certain position. You have some people, they are busy, in their sitting with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have some people, they are busy with their love, experience their love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I may say this is it's not going to be the case, the hereafter, but this was the case, the hereafter, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did tell, through his messenger, that he was asked, he was asked, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, is there horses, in the heaven? He said, yes, there's horses with wings, in the heaven. I imagine, the one who asked him about horses had very busy time, in this life, riding horses. Is there any agriculture, in the heaven? Subhanallah. And the answer was, yes, you may have agriculture, in the heaven, The one, for sure, it's going to be as we named, or as we mentioned, about the horses. I have never seen, except in mobile, gas station, those horses, with wings, okay? And this is beyond my imagination, and for sure, I'm not telling you that the horses, of the heaven, they are going to be similar to the horses in this life. But the one who is busy in horses, for sure is not going to be similar to the one who is busy with much superior matter, Even the Prophet ﷺ was asked, by a person, is there camels, in the heaven? And the Prophet ﷺ will not say yes or no. What did he say? Very smart answer. He said, whatever you like in the heaven, you are going to have it available. Okay. So I look at this life as a stage for preparation. Okay. Anything you are going to prepare yourself, in this life is going to happen in the hereafter. For sure, it's very simple answer. No one is going to ask something that he did not know. The one who did not know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to ask for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who did not know really the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will not ask for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even for the asking for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have many different levels, of asking for him, It's not that simple person sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his personality was one of the most person or humankind to have massive controversy in this life, Why? Because some of them, they did look to him, as the orphan of Abu Talib, his uncle. The other, they did look at him, you may have some of them, up till now, that he just delivered the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third one, they look to him, as their happiness, in this life. That you have many people, they may climb more and more, they may love him. I have heard, about a person, that whenever he has a nap, he's going to see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you name it, So here, the way you practice at, in this life is going to be appear in the hereafter. This is our own rule, I'm not going to dictate on Allah that it should be the case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most absolute one. He may have difference, in this common rule, But as we say, recite in Fatiha, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. That's mean you have something from your side and something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's side. I highly appreciate and respect that many of us, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to join the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be this or that, But we have some practice to match, in this life. Namely, this is mentioned by Imam Suyuti in his letter, about Salat al-Jum'ah, one of the importance. I forgot who did narrate this hadith. This hadith comes from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you are going to sit, while you are observing Allah, the way of sitting, in Salat al-Jum'ah. What I observe, for sure I did observe the physical sitting, for Salat Jum'ah. What do I observe? Some people, they will come too early, to Salat al-Jum'ah. The others may come late. Some people, because of crowd, they will not be in, the hall. The others, they just look, from the door, and have their head, stick there, My imagination, I may be right or wrong, is going to be as such, in the hereafter. Why? Because those who came, first, they are interested in meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are interested in keeping their appointment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you name it, they had this in their practice. You are going to find some people, personally, I get jealous of them, because I feel they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala much more than me. They are going to have shaky heart, toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever He is mentioned subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you have some people, they have not exactly the same, but similar practice, toward Him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have a lot of people, nowadays, when they are in the presence, of the holy hair of Him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is physical trial or physical experience, they are going to behave themselves, as if they are in the presence of Him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, I have heard, that this is like an experience for those people, to have them prepared, to meet and sit with Him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The one who is busy in eating, let him, for sure in heaven, is going to have much more sophisticated way of eating, drinking, and enjoying your life, But here, when it comes to such a comparison, it's going to be multiplied in my view, when you have the superiority of the Prophet ﷺ multiplied by the superiority of the heaven, and you are going to enjoy this matter, by this multiplication, for sure it's going to be much superior and much higher than our expectation, okay? And this is has been started, by Him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when He said, "ما الدنيا في الآخرة إلا كما يجعل أحدكم أصبعه في اليم فلينظر بما ترجع." This comparison, between this life and the hereafter was given by Him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when you put your finger, in the ocean, it's going to be wet, and you are going to get some particles, of water, in your finger. Those particles that taken, by you, this is the example of this life, and the ocean is the example of the hereafter, okay? And it's going to be as such, Those people who were lucky enough, to sit with Him, to deal with Him in this life, namely the companion, and then those who come later, they have, in my view, the top luckiest, opportunity in this life, They are, were they equal? No, they were not equal, Some of them, they met with Him, for an hour, or 2 hours, or 1 day, or 2 days, or whatever. Then they return back to their original home, or to their tribe, or whatever, of that regard. Others, they just restricted themselves, to Him sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Whenever they started seeing him, and get in touch with him, And example of them, Sayyidina Rabi'a ibn Ka'b al-Aslami. Rabi'a ibn Ka'b al-Aslami was teenager, in the life of the Prophet. I'm surprised, all of these teenagers, they are going to have some special matter, The Prophet ﷺ, in his migration, from Mecca to Medina, he passed through, the tribe of Rabi'a ibn Ka'b. And this teenager, this is the one who just left his family, left everything, and joined him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he used to go with him wherever he goes, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then the night come, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam want to go to his house. He is going to speak with himself. The Prophet may need some water for wudu or for drink or whatever. I'm going to spend the night, at the door of him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I was going to spend the whole night, at the door, of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I'm trying to understand physically this person. He subjected all of his life to him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then the choice was given from him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He told him, ask whatever you want to ask. You see, the way I understand it, you have massive opening, You may ask anything for this life and anything for the hereafter. Sayyidina Rabi'a ibn Ka'b did say, this teenager, this young person, what did he say? He said that I thought about this life. This life is going to be gone, Just imagine if he got something, in this life. Nowadays, are we going to be concerned about it or speaking about it? I think no. Okay, so he said to the Prophet ﷺ, I would like to join you in the hereafter. He said, do you want any, or something else, to see that he really mean it, or he just, heard it from someone. He said, that's it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, help me by having a plenty of prostration, This, why did I say, or something else, Hasha wa kalla, the Prophet is not a deceptive person, is not going to take you to another thing, I support my idea from this narration, that the Prophet ﷺ wanted in one of his travels, to go from a way, that unknown to anyone, and a Bedouin person, who took him in that particular way. Then that Bedouin person, he asked, the Prophet ﷺ tell him, ask whatever you want to ask. What did he ask this Bedouin person? He asked for a few camels. The Prophet ﷺ did say, why you are not, similar to the old woman of Bani Israel? They said, Ya Rasulullah, who was this woman, old woman, of Bani Israel? He said, this, when Sayyidina Musa, he want to immigrate, from Egypt, elsewhere, and those caravans or vehicle, they will not move, and it was very critical, moment, because he is surrounded by Pharaoh behind him, and if they did not move, is in very critical position, He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did tell Sayyidina Musa that Yusuf, this is their, one of their predescendant person, and was prophet, Sayyidina Yusuf. He take a commitment from his people, that they are not going to leave Egypt without his body. He said, Sayyidina Musa, Ya Rab, who was going to tell us, about the body of Yusuf? Where is it, located? He said, the woman, the old woman of Bani Israel. He brought her, Sayyidina Musa, asking her, where is Yusuf? Where is the body of Yusuf? Where was he buried, She said, I'm not going to tell you till you give me whatever I want. Very critical position, very quick position, He said, okay, what do you want? She said, I want to join you in the hereafter. Sayyidina Musa did consider this as great thing. Then he checked with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did answer him. Are you going to give her from your side or from our side? He said, no, from your side, Ya Allah. He said, okay, give her whatever she wants. And he gave her the guarantee that she is going to join him, in the hereafter. After that, she told them where is the location, of the body of Sayyidina Yusuf, and they took this body, and they were able to move, and as we read, on the Quran. What I'm trying to say, this, when you the Prophet ﷺ, they give this comparison, between the Bedouin person who asked for camels, and that lady, that old lady of Bani Israel that asked for this, I ask myself nowadays, where are the camels, of this Bedouin person? They are gone away, as anything, If I did tell you that they are going to last up till now, you will not believe me, okay? They did not last, okay? What I'm trying to say, myself, and everyone who believes in me, we should direct our heart toward those spiritual matter, okay? And many of those people, even strangers, they were not in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. They are going to be quite close to him. Many of those people, physically they were close to him, they will not be as such, example of it, You have the neighbors of the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca. Physically they were just close to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In Sirah you read that all of them, they did not become Muslim except one, with some question, about his Islam, and I have mentioned yesterday, the story of Zayd ibn Haritha and how this teenager, he came from that far, more than 1,000 kilometers, and by the care of Allah, he landed, in the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What I'm trying to say, you may have those weird matter, you may have someone who was physically close to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not going to be as such, in the hereafter, and you have vice versa. Some people, who are away of him time-wise or place-wise, in this life, and they are going to join him, in the hereafter. What was the definition of it? What was the factor of it? This was given by him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, the most beloved one to me and the closest one to me, in the hereafter, those who are ahasinukum akhlaqat, good characters, al-mutawatta'una aknafa, those who put their wings, down, for when they are, humble when they deal with someone else, الذين يألفون ويؤلفون. You may get along with them, and they may get along with you. وإن أبغضكم إلي وأبعدكم مني مجلسا يوم القيامة. The most hated one, to me, and they are going to be the most far one, of my majlis. الثرثارون, who keep speaking, all the time. والمتشدقون, those who try to, by wording, to show that they are eloquent, in their language or whatever. والمتفيهقون, and that the Prophet ﷺ was asked, who are the mutafayhiqun? He said, those who are proud, of themselves, they are going to be the most far one, of him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, in this visit, I was in the US, in Chicago. They took me, to an African American person. I give this as an example. Was not Muslim, became eventually Muslim. Okay. He had in the dream, something of the hereafter. He spoke about the bread, he spoke about the woman, The description he gave, for the bread and the woman, you don't find anything similar to it, in this life. Okay? What I'm trying to say, those who are busy in those matter and they are going to make it, to the hereafter, to be in the heaven, they may have this experience, But what I'm trying to feel, such an experience is completely not similar to the other experience when you deal with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Dealing with the Prophet is going to be from certain levels, different levels, as I said before, You have someone, is going to get what he thinks is the maximum of him, to ask him, some of those educated people, they may ask him, is witr, wajib or sunnah, is this or that, or you name it, The others, they are going to have full adab. The third one, they are going, to just, feel that he is their guardian, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم. Okay, and this is when this verse was revealed, that the Prophet is much more loyal to anyone than himself. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam started the practice, from day number one. I don't know when we are going to start the practice, about it. What do I mean that he started the practice of day number one? For sure, he did not show himself. He did not put himself, in very honorable position. He started practicing, the duty of it, from day number one. That's what I mean. He used, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever there's janazah, coming to the mosque, ask them, does this diseased person, has any debt, if he was told, that he has a debt, he will tell them, pray on your colleague, I'm not going to pray on him. When he has this revelation, what did happen, he said, I am much more loyal to anyone than himself, He's going to pay his debt, from his side, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and lead the prayer, on him. And he mentioned it, some people may understand it physically. I would like to understand it, in physical and spiritual matter. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'm much more loyal to anyone than himself, Whoever, left debts, or some problematic matter, I'm going to be responsible for him, The one who left money, let the inheritance, his inheritance or his relative, to inherit such money. Okay, some people, they may understand it, in physical way. I would like to understand it from both aspect, the physical. I'm not going to put down the physical matter, but besides it, you have the spiritual matter. If this is our case, with him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this physical matter is going to be much more announced, or pronounced, regarding the spiritual matter. I mentioned, elsewhere, there is a companion called Abdullah Zul Bijadain. Okay, and this person, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't instruct him, just stick to my gate, my door. Why? Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did feel that this person need some supportive help, in this life. And when he is next to the door of the Prophet ﷺ, those great, people of Medina and someone else, they are going to bring many of their goods, good matter, as a gift to him ﷺ. Usually the Prophet ﷺ not enjoy his time, by these gifts, is going to distribute these gifts, to the people around him, Even the family members, of his relatives, they will not get a lot, of those physical gifts, This was the instruction given to that person. How did the Prophet ﷺ behave toward that person? We read, in the story of that particular person, teenager also again, that Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, very famous companion, he attended Ghazwat Tabuk, and he was with them in the camp, He woke up overnight, complete darkness. There is a light, from far. And he just stood up, and went to that particular light. And there he found a hole, and the Prophet ﷺ inside that hole, or that grave. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar, they are outside, the hall, and they are holding a body, and the Prophet ﷺ did tell them or instructed them, give me that body. Yeah, this was Abdullah al-Bijadain. The Prophet ﷺ did join him from the beginning till he put him in his grave. You see, يعني, when I try to understand such a thing, how great is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to join. Yani, I'm going to make myself, closer to him by some nasheed, by some physical hair which are great, by some of his traditions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or whatever, I may be good, in practicing some of his tradition. I'm going to be really bad, about some other practices, of his tradition or in it, But he himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is going to respond to me according to his perfectness, according to his noble personality, according to his characters, We mentioned about his character yesterday, how Sayyidina Zayd ibn Haritha, when he experienced such a person, before revelation, he will give the preference, of slavery over freedom, will give the preference, of what may be called, by the others as stranger over his direct family, and you name it, And this was the experience. I'm going to mention another story of those, then we'll leave the stage for any question. Okay, there is a teenager, all of them, they are teenager, That's why, the young people, they should enjoy their life a lot, The elderly, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We have done in this life many things, Some of them, they are going to be good. The others, they are not going to be good. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us, Those who start their life, please be careful, about where to choose. Where do you want to put your step? This teenager called Talha ibn al-Bara, not the famous Talha, famous companion that we know. Okay, he was quite young when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina al-Munawwara. And this person will come to him, ﷺ, wipe his face on the feet of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ gets surprised of his love to him, ﷺ. One day he gave him a test, Alhamdulillah, he was successful in this test. What did he tell him? Go and kill your father. And this person, I feel as if a drunk person, he just had the sword, and was about to go and rush, to kill his father. And the Prophet ﷺ said, come back, I was not sent, to cut those relation between the relatives, Then this person, this teenager was about to die, and the Prophet ﷺ did tell his family, send someone to me to tell me, whenever he's about to die, And this teenager, because I imagine, in that early days, Medina was like patches, and to move from one patch to another, is going to be quite dangerous, especially overnight, for anyone like the Prophet ﷺ or whoever, So he felt himself, Talha ibn al-Bara, is about to die, overnight, and he did tell his family, don't tell the Prophet ﷺ. This is the love, This is the real love, He loves the Prophet ﷺ much more than himself. Yani, all of us, without exception, we would like, to have the Prophet ﷺ attending our deaths, okay? That person did not like it. Why? Because he felt that there's maybe some danger, to him, ﷺ, overnight. He said, don't tell the Prophet ﷺ. And he passed away, overnight, and was buried, and the Prophet ﷺ was told, next day, about him, and he came to his grave, and he make the prayer of janazah on his grave. What did he say, in the prayer, He said, oh Allah, meet Talha while you are laughing at him, and he is laughing at you. Okay, this is the prayer. Okay, those are the people, that I look for. Some person, I Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep this on me, I keep going to Medina Munawwara all the time. One person by chance, he told me this is the area of Talha ibn al-Bara, It's quite far of the mosque, of the holy mosque, Now I may understand physically what I have read, as in narration, before, Why Talha ibn al-Bara did say, don't tell the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't let the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam come overnight, to my place, because he loves him a lot, This Talha ibn al-Bara, he loves the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam a lot, and he did not like the idea to have him, exposed to some danger, by traveling from one patch to another, in Medina. This is was the case in Talha ibn al-Bara. I think I should stop here, and if anyone has any question, we'll try to answer. And as you may see, you have many names, of those great companions. They are not the most famous when like Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar. And you are going to be amazed, about their story, okay? The one who really loves the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, go back and search, about these people.
There's some questions from sisters upstairs. Sorry, so these are the questions from the sisters upstairs. The first one, how do we attain yaqeen in faith? Is it attainable in this lifetime, or do we spend our lives in its pursuit?
In my view, yes, it is attained, in this life, As you see, some people, they are interested in this life. The other, they are interested in some Islamic sciences, This gate is open for everyone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most generous, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants all of your people to know Him, And this knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be the best thing to gain in this life, I may receive this question, how we are going to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In my mind, I have two ways, but I think we have a plenty of ways, of knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The two ways that I speak about them, to have massive recitation of the Holy Quran and to have some night prayer, which in our time, I'm sorry to tell you, we feel, even though this is lie, or fake feeling, we feel that we are quite busy. We are going to get ourselves, busy in some other matters, and we are going to have the Quran, away of us, we are going to have this power, and this electricity, to take, nowadays, many of us, they will not sleep before midnight, okay? In their time, in the time of the Prophet, one of the most difficult prayer for them was Isha prayer. Why? Because the darkness starts with Maghrib time, sunset, okay? And to keep yourself awake till Isha was a heavy duty, like temptation, for the person, or torment, or anything, of that regard, What I'm trying to say, we are going to lose a lot, when we miss the night prayer. I'm sorry to tell you, even I received a question, about Fajr prayer. How I'm going to keep up, my Fajr prayer, Okay, I think I have no idea about this country. You don't have massive changes. In UK, you have much more changes, in the winter, it's going to be quite easy, to achieve, Fajr prayer, because it's going to be roughly, at 7 or so, okay? In summertime, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, because it's going to go deeply, during the night. What I'm trying to say, all of us, without exception, if we feel that this is our asset, this is the way that we are going, all of us, we are going to move to another area, That area is going to be much more spiritual, okay? We believe in the spiritual world, nowadays, but we are now occupied with the physical world, on most aspect or all aspect of our life. We hardly see anyone, who has this spiritual, action. I have told some people, about some of those spiritual experience, but most of us, we are going to be occupied by the physical one. What I'm trying to say, as you are believer, you are Muslim, alhamdulillah, I have no doubt about it. Try to be tricky, try to find a way to have at least. The Prophet ﷺ did instruct you to have night prayer like fuwaq naqa. What is fuwaq naqa? When we want to translate it, to physical thing, it's going to be seconds, less than 1 minute. This is fuwaq naqa or fuwaq sha. Okay, yani, the way I want to apply to my life, just wake up, few minutes, before Fajr time, and pray 2 rak'ahs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you have this habit, when you have the habit, to recite Quran, you are going to feel yourself, differently, or particularly or completely different person than the real person, And this experience, I have it with some of my friends, I may be jealous of them because up till now I don't feel that feeling, I dictate on my friends, you should recite certain portion of the Quran. And a person of them, who was in the mosque, and raised up among the Shaykh, he came to my clinic, 2 months before his death. He passed away, rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, I cannot imagine my life without Quran. Okay, that's mean. Let me translate this to physical meaning, to your people, That's mean he tasted or experienced something in this physical life, never experienced by him. He was above 50-year-old, okay, and he did experience when he started to build his relation with the Quran, something that was not experienced by him, for all of his previous age. What I'm trying to say, okay, all of your people, the young and old one, try to find your way, to fix those relations with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of the young people, they'll say, I'm going to be as such, when I get old, My answer to this is going to be, like I feel now, my joints, they are stiff and rigid, Again, when you did not, get used, to such thing, it's too difficult for your people, to have it, when you get old, Back in Syria now, I have some relatives, they have massive free time. They may get bored, of it, I have very busy time, Sometimes I'm jealous of them, I tell them, you are too lucky, Just spend the night, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Spend the time of the day, reading Quran, They will not do it. Why? Because they did not get used to it, when they were young, That's why. I look at them, they have the factor to do it, but they will not do it. Why? This is my answer. You may have better answer, because they did not find their way. They did not get accustomed to it, when they were much younger. So my instruction to everyone, the young and old one, please try to behave yourself, try to find a way, to build your relation with Allah, to build your relation with Quran, to have some night prayer, and you name it.
Shaykh, how do we balance between reprimanding our children and being merciful towards them?
This is maybe tough, sometimes, I call it a contradiction, when you want to cause some harmful action to your children, in the meanwhile you love them, I give this example, I don't know how accurate. When your child is sick and you take him to the physician, he may prescribe for them, a shot or whatever, and you are going to walk them, just because you put in mind that it's going to be good for them and they are going to be, inshallah, cured, of their disease, And this is, the Prophet ﷺ made it for the matter, of relating ourselves, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I would like to put it in another form, okay? When your child, is going to understand that you care a lot, about Allah. You care a lot, about His Messenger. You are going to get really angry when you miss the opportunity to do some of those night prayer or whatever I have spoken, about. He's going to understand the message very well. When you just speak about it and try to have easy life and more relaxed way, or whatever, he will get the message. They are quite smart, He will get the message. Just speak, about Islam, speak about Allah, speak about His Messenger, and enjoy your life, with cars, with whatever, with business, with money, they are going to be as such, So I would like from anyone, to subject himself, to such attitude, at least in front of their children. Many of us, because they love their children, they are going to hide their bad habits, to happen in front of their children, And in the same pattern, if you are not convinced with whatever, I have said, do it for the sake of your children, okay? Pretend in front of them that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pretend in front of them that you love His message. Why I should say so? Because I'm sorry to tell you, the Muslim nowadays, they lose significant portion of their children. They become atheists, okay? Why? Because this factor and many other factors that I may not be able to speak about.
Shaykh, people emulate the Prophet ﷺ out of love for him. Is it better to emulate his character and actions instead of his outward appearance, or are both just as important?
We are too lucky as Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most kind and the most merciful to us, He sent us, a messenger. From the outlook, is going to be the greatest. From the inner portion of his is going to be the greatest. His character is going to be as such, and you name it. Wherever you look at such a person, is going to be as such, And this is part of the prophetic tradition, because he was asked, in his time, tell us about yourself. What did he say? He mentioned two spiritual and one physical matter. What are they? He said, أنا دعوة أبي إبراهيم. You recited in the Quran. When Sayyidina Ibrahim and Sayyidina Ismail were building the Kaaba, they make da'wah ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم. To send a messenger, among them, from their people, that they're going to recite Quran on them. They are going to teach them, the Holy Quran and the prophetic tradition, and it's going to make tazkiyah for them, Tazkiyah, it has the two components. I may not. وَبُشْرَى أَخِي عِيسَى. Sayyidina Isa, another messenger and prophet, he gave the good news about him. وَمُبَشِّرًا. Again, you recite in the Quran. وَمُبَشِّرًا بِرَسُولٍ يَأْتِي مِنْ بَعْدِ اسْمُهُ أَحْمَدٍ. This good news, they were given to us, by Sayyidina Isa ibn Maryam. And then he said about the physical point, he said, when my mother gave birth to me, she had an illumination to the ability that she was able to see the palaces, in Syria. Okay, so if I want to understand this explanation from his side, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I would like from my side and anyone's side and the asker's side, please fix the physical and the spiritual component of him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So what simple deed other than the obligatory acts can we do to bring us closer to Allah?
I have a friend. May Allah make him my friend. I have a friend, who dream frequently about him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and this person, he did ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how you are going to be happy, with your nation nowadays. He said, by plenty of salawat. Okay, this was his answer. If you want to have simple deed, I'm sorry, this is going to be very simple and very easy, toward him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But I'm sorry to tell you, we are in very complicated life, Even our relation with each other is not going to be as simple as our relation with him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see how simple, that the question and the answer, toward him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was quite simple, It's the greatest man, the greatest achievement for anyone, in this life is going to be his relation with him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet you may achieve it, by this simplicity, just occupy one of your organs, namely the tongue, by making salawat on him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You spoke yesterday about tawakkul on Allah. Where do you draw the line? Do you close the door, or do you need to lock it as well? Or do you need to put on the latch as well? Or put on the security camera or the gate?
My answer is going to be by some great person called Ibn Ata'illah. He mentioned this, in his hikam, okay? To make the long story short, be yourself. I believe certain portion of the people, in this life, they are going to be provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without business, without anything. Namely, like Sayyida Maryam, كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا. Those are, I believe in them. They are available in our life. They are not the majority, And the answer for your question is going to come from that great scholar. What did he say? Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put you in a position, to work, don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to move to that position of Sayyida Maryam, or because this is going to be hidden desire from your side, okay? Because you are not you, myself, I'm lazy, I don't like to work, and I would like to be moved to the other side. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put you on the other side, don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put you at work, because this is inhitat, according to him. Inhitat, that means is going to be you descend yourself, from the upper level that has been designated, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so here, and you have the two examples, happen in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How? You have a person, who was in the mosque, and he have many brothers, all of them, they spend money on him, okay? And they came to the Prophet complaining about their brother, He said, all of your people, you are better than him. In the other example, you have a person, sitting in the mosque in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and his brother who used to spend money on him. And he came to the Prophet ﷺ telling him, he said, you may get provision through your brother. Okay, and these, they don't contradict with each other. Why? Because in my explanation, the first type, even though he is in the mosque, but his heart is outside the mosque, so and so is going to bring me this nice food. The other one is going to bring me some money, and the third one, the other one, when he sat in the mosque, he secluded himself. He did not have any of those interests, come to his mind. I'm not here to put down. We are in a time. You may be in a country, when I used to live, in US, that you should have a lot of competition. You should prove yourself or whatever, All of these people, they are servant of this life, And you would like to be servant of the hereafter, servant of Allah, servant of His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this may sound sometimes contradict with each other, okay? And inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us, to find a way to build this relation in this life, and to build the other relationship. Yani here, all of us, we have the outer and we have the inner. You may have the outer, occupied, by whatever work you have as a physician, as a computer employee or whatever, and the inner, no one has the right to interfere with your inner. Your inner may be directed completely to Allah and His Messenger. وإياكم جزاكم الله خيرا. I think I'll move.